was about 12 years ago when I was doing maintenance work at this old mental health facility just outside Albany. It wasn't one of those clean, bright, modern clinics. You could tell the place had history. You walked in and felt it. Most of it had been built in the late 1940s, maybe early 50s, and by the time I was there in 2011, whole wings had been shut down, but the owners didn't want to tear them down. They said it was cheaper to just lock them up and forget about them. They paid me to keep the lights on and make sure nothing physically collapsed. So half the time I was fixing leaky faucets in the active wards, and the other half I was in the quiet, dead parts of the building where no one ever went. Or at least, where no one was supposed to. One afternoon, the night nurse calls me, middle of her shift, and she says she's hearing knocking. Not just random knocking, steady, deliberate knocking, always in sets of 3. It's coming from the locked, abandoned wing, room 6. Now, I've been in that wing dozens of times and I've heard plenty of noises. Pipes expanding, rats in the walls, wind hitting the old windows. But she says this knocking's been going on all day. It's not stopping. So I grab my flashlight, unlock the gate, and step inside. The air hits me immediately, thick, dusty, cold. The kind of cold that makes you pull your jacket tighter. The floor groans under me, and I'm just waiting for the nurse to admit this was some prank. But then I hear it. Knock, knock, knock. It's not loud, it's soft, like someone knocking politely, but it's coming from inside the room. I tell myself it's the pipes. Just to prove it, I knock back. 3 knocks. I hear 3 knocks in return. I unlock the door, push it open, and nothing. Just a small, square room with peeling paint and an old iron bed frame against the wall. No windows, no loose pipes, nothing that could have made the sound. I check every corner, run my hand along the walls, nothing. I'm standing there thinking I've wasted my time when I hear it again. Except this time, it's not from inside the room, it's from the hallway. I step out and shine my flashlight down the hall, and that's when I see her. At the far end, maybe 40 feet away, there's this woman. Long dark hair covering most of her face, hospital gown so white it almost glows in the dim light. She's barefoot, just standing there facing me. My first thought is she's a patient who wandered into the wrong part of the building, but there's no reason she should have been able to get in here. It's locked from the outside. I call out, "Hey, you can't be down here." She tilts her head slightly, then turns and walks straight into the locked steel door at the end of the hallway. Just disappears into it. I stood there frozen for a good 30 seconds before I got the hell out. Told the nurse the next time she heard knocking from room 6, she was on her own. Never went back. And to this day, I've never been able to explain it. This was back in my college days, when I was doing volunteer work at a state-run psychiatric hospital. I'd always been into psychology, thought I might want to work in mental health, and I figured, what better way to get experience? Now, the place I ended up at wasn't some sleek, modern campus. It was one of those old, towering facilities with tile floors, arched windows, and ceilings that seemed way too high for comfort. During my first week, one of the orderlies, this guy named Mark, tells me, "Listen, kid, if you ever hear screaming from the basement after midnight, don't go down there." I laughed it off, figured he was just hazing the new guy. But about 3 weeks in, I was on a late shift, walking the second floor, when I heard it. At first it was faint. I thought maybe a TV was left on somewhere, But as I got closer to the stairwell, it got louder. And it wasn't a TV. It was screaming. Full on, blood-curdling, terrified screaming. Now, it was after visiting hours. There shouldn't have been anyone down there. And I'd been told the basement was just for storage. But I grabbed a flashlight and started down the stairs anyway, because what else was I supposed to do? The moment my foot hit the bottom step, silence. The basement was lit by these dim, flickering bulbs, barely enough to see past 20 feet. I'm halfway down the hallway when I hear it again, louder this time. The screaming's coming from behind this big locked steel door with the word record stenciled on it. I get right up to the door, my heart hammering in my chest, and that's when I notice it. There's light flickering under the gap. Not electric light, candlelight. I'm frozen there, thinking I should call security, and then, clear as day, a voice from inside says, "Come down here." I didn't even think. I just turned and ran back up the stairs 2 at a time. Next morning, I asked one of the nurses about the records room, trying to sound casual. She looked at me like I'd just asked her if the sky was blue. Said it's been sealed since 1978. That's when a patient, a man named Harold Dunn, barricaded himself inside and set himself on fire. She said there's nothing in there now but ashes. This happened when I was working night security at a small mental health facility upstate. It wasn't a big place. 40, maybe 45 patients. Most of them were in the recovery stage, people who were there to get back on their feet. Nights were usually quiet, too quiet sometimes. It was around 3 in the morning, and I was in the security office sipping bad coffee and watching the monitors. That's when I saw him. A man walking down the main patient hallway. Tall, maybe mid-40s, wearing jeans and a button-down shirt. The thing was, patients weren't allowed to wear street clothes overnight. They were in-issued gowns. And visitors? Not a chance, not at that hour. I radio the nurse on duty. "Anyone expecting someone to leave early or come in?" She says no. No discharges scheduled, no visitors, nothing. So I get up, thinking maybe this is some lost visitor from earlier who fell asleep in the lobby or something. I head down the hallway, turning the corner where I'd seen him on the monitor, and it's empty, completely empty. I check each patient room, quiet. All doors closed. Then I check the emergency exit at the far end. It's locked, alarm armed. No one could have gone out that way without triggering it. I shrug it off, head back to the office, and decide to rewind the camera feed to see where he went. What I saw made my skin crawl. On the footage, the man walks down the hallway exactly as I had seen, but when he reaches the end, he doesn't turn or open a door. He just stops, stands there for maybe 3 seconds, and then, frame by frame, he's gone. Not walking away, not ducking into a room, just gone. One frame he's there, the next, he isn't. I call my supervisor in the next morning, tell her what happened, even show her the footage. She watches it once, nods slowly, and says, "You've met Alan." Turns out, Alan was a patient here, got discharged after months of treatment. Staff said he was doing well, even joked about finally getting his life back. 3 weeks later, he died in a car accident. They say he still walks the halls like he's waiting for his release papers.